You're watching Skywatch Media News, and here's what's happening for the week of February the 11th, 2019. According to a disturbing documentary presentation revealed by BBC, there are key warning signs originating from the Yellowstone caldera that indicates the massive volcano could erupt much sooner than was previously thought. The last eruption of the supervolcano located in Yellowstone National Park was 640,000 years ago. The volcanic caldera is consistently monitored by means of technology. But regardless of any predictive analysis of when the next eruption will occur, it seems that nature, and not predictive technology, will become the indicator of an imminent eruption. Predicting the eruption could be a matter of survival for many citizens of the United States. The last eruption of the supervolcano produced 2,500 times more volcanic material than the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens, creating a column so colossal that nearly 60% of the United States was covered in a thick layer of ash. Before the next eruption of Yellowstone happens, nature will provide a very important clue. The ground that surrounds the national park will rise upwards and form a swarm of earthquakes. Eventually, one of the earthquakes will break the layer of rock that holds the magma in bay. Another important clue of an imminent eruption would be the behavior of the wildlife within Yellowstone Park. Animals are acutely sensitive to the movement of the earth, and any migration of wildlife from an area of danger would be a strong indicator that something is about to happen. Geologists have indicated that if an enormous earthquake would occur in the region, that it could take less than 2 weeks for a cataclysmic reaction event to play out. It now looks like officials are drafting a set of evacuation instructions and survival procedures in the event of a sudden national disaster emergency. The states represented here that border or surround the park would be the most vulnerable to the initial blast. This map provides the most revealing aspects of the risk involved in the aftermath of a supervolcano eruption. Zone 1 is considered ground zero, a deadly radius extending 100 miles that reaches into the states of Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. This zone would be directly affected by pyroclastic flows, and it would be subject to total destruction. People living in Zone 2 would be subjected to many feet of heavy volcanic ash, destroying crops and collapsing homes and other structures. The chances of survival for those residing in this area would be minimal, and therefore this zone would be subject to evacuation. Venturing beyond Zone 2, your chances of survival begin to increase, although a number of health risks would still exist, depending on where the winds would carry the ashfall and how large the accumulation would be. The safest areas would extend beyond Zone 6, and as you can see from the map, there would be very few safe locations within the United States. By far, the greatest danger for Earth would lie in the aftermath of a super eruption. The spread of tremendous amounts of volcanic ash could most likely lead to a volcanic winter across much of the world, in which enough ash spread across the planet could cool the Earth by 1 or 2 degrees, creating significant changes in the Earth's climate. Such drastic changes in the atmosphere would lead to extensive crop failure, resulting in the eventual demise of tens of millions of individuals. So this is the warning that is being provided to the public by means of reports and documentaries that indicate that something is happening at Yellowstone that warrants an imminent alert. We sense that something is happening because we know that seismic activity has been accelerating in recent years. An increase of more than 400% since the onset of the 21st century. Equally troubling is the once dormant volcanoes that are suddenly coming to life, as well as the number of eruptions that have occurred over time. A diagram compiled from data by the Smithsonian Institution's Global Volcanism Program in May of 2018 provides a unique perspective on the extent of volcanic activity since the year 1883, the year of the historic Krakatoa eruption. In the years that have elapsed since the historic eruption of Krakatoa, there have been 404 global eruptions categorized by elevation and type of eruption. Nearly half of the recorded eruptions have happened in the years since 2000. Some of these eruptions have been cataclysmic, like the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens, while others have been smaller eruptions that happen on a frequent basis, such as the recent Kilauea eruption that created a destructive lava flow in Hawaii in 2018. Yellowstone has seen recent signs of life emerging from beneath the surface that are sparking fears among geologists and scientists that are monitoring the region. Steamboat Geyser is more active now than it has been in decades. In fact, the geyser had a record-breaking year in 2018, having more eruptions in a calendar year than any other year on record. According to the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, the geyser has erupted more than 32 times in 2018, showing no signs of letting up thus far in 2019. Other geysers within Yellowstone are ejecting rocks and decades-old debris across the surrounding terrain. Furthermore, scientists are now informing the public that a 465-mile-long piece of molten rock is rising under Yellowstone each year at a steady pace. If this continues, it is likely that magma could break through the Earth's crust, forming flowing lava. What scientific experts are emphasizing and want the public to understand is that a full-blown eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano is going to happen at some point in our future. And when it does, it will most likely lead to a global volcanic winter. When this takes place, the world will never be the same again, as the earth changes brought about by such a cataclysmic scenario will be long-lasting and extremely consequential for humanity. But the truth lies in the belief by scientists that a disaster of this magnitude would most likely come with little or even no warning, and this alone should be cause for concern for everyone. The shaking that is happening around the world just in the last month should be an eye-opener. Just in the first 2 weeks of February, the state of Alaska has experienced more than 346 earthquakes. This is not normal, and it has a lot of people very concerned. Earth is going through major changes associated with volcanic activity. In 2018, there were 50 volcanoes erupting across the world, where normally there would be around 20 eruptions for a given period of time. And the number of eruptions continues to rise thus far in 2019, with 14 new or ongoing eruptions being reported as of February the 5th. If you can imagine that the shell of our planet is cracking, then imagine yourself just floating on the pieces that have splintered and that are becoming increasingly unstable. These changes are going to affect us in ways that cannot be imagined, simply for the fact that they are becoming real and pose serious problems for our future and for our descendants. As you look to the sky, remember that God and nature have first created all things for what they are. Through divine intellect and knowledge, we become what we want to be in this life, always mindful of the great laws of man and nature. In your wisdom, let God and the sky become your limit, and eternity your measurement. Thanks for watching.